The clerk will report a floor amendment.
Floor amendment offered, two floor amendments offered to the engrossed versions by Delegate Ward. Amendment number 1, line 581, after the word position, strike or and insert a comma. Amendment 2, line 582, after the stricken through word satisfactory, strike the remainder of line 582 and through the word evaluations on line 583, and then insert 2 unsatisfactory performance evaluations or 1 unsatisfactory performance evaluation followed by a subsequent failure to demonstrate adequate progress on an improvement plan.
The gentlewoman from Hampton, Ms. Ford, to explain the floor amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 1223 redefines teacher incompetency down to as little as 1 negative evaluation. 1 negative evaluation should never automatically equate to teacher incompetence, nor should it make a person or a teacher eligible for immediate dismissal or termination. And any of us who have ever taught in a classroom will know that it takes a little while before you realize that everything that you learned in those textbooks bear very little resemblance to what you really face in a classroom. So it's going to take a little while for you to really pull it all together. But often the very first indication given to a teacher that there is a problem is during that performance evaluation itself. So that first notification of a problem is now defined as incompetency and grounds for immediate dismissal. And I want us to think about ourselves and our first jobs that we have held. And we were not the same people that we are today. We have grown in that profession. We were given a chance to improve, and that's all we're asking for. Even with us serving in this body, if you think about your first session in this General Assembly, we all made some mistakes. Someone would even say that we would have been given a negative evaluation also, but most of us improved. And what we're saying is, in this amendment, is to also give these teachers a chance to improve. And that's what this amendment does. And most school divisions already have an established, easy process for implementing and reviewing teacher improvement plans. So this isn't anything new, not anything burdensome. In fact, many school divisions will choose to continue using their teacher improvement plans because they are effective and fair. And this amendment supports that process and makes it easy to conform to standard. And for that reason, I ask that you support this amendment.
The gentleman from Carolina, Mr. Rock.
Mr. Speaker, speaking to the amendment.
The gentleman has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, let me begin by saying I commend all the folks within the governor's staff and all the other stakeholders, Delegate Cox and many others who worked on this measure over the past year and the whole reform package. But, Mr. Speaker, I rise this afternoon in agreement with the amendment that's been proposed. That, to me, the single biggest problem with the instrument you have before you is the very issue that has been raised. And I can tell you from my personal experience, not too long after I was elected to this body, there was a new sheriff in town at my local school and a new principal. And within the first year of his coming to the school, he decided that I could either be a good teacher or a good legislator, but that the time demands of each would not allow me to do both. And it became his personal mission to help me to decide. And were it not for some intervention above his pay scale, shall we say, I think he would have prevailed, and especially under the terms embodied in this bill. Because when we are saying 1 unsatisfactory evaluation, I can get crossways with the principal, and if the only recourse I have after that unsatisfactory evaluation is an independent hearing officer that I had no say-so, I think that's a little problematic. I think the bill as a whole is in good shape, and I will support the measure, but I hope the body will support this amendment.
The gentleman from Manassas, Mr. Miller.
Mr. Speaker, will the gentleman from Stanton rise for a question?
Will the gentleman from Stanton
I will.
yield? Gentleman yields.
Mr. Speaker, I'd ask the gentleman if the Virginia Education Association is supportive of this bill.
Mr. Speaker, I would answer the gentleman by saying, yes, indeed they are. And so are the school boards associations and the superintendents associations and all the major stakeholders in public education. They were all at the table throughout these negotiations that have been going on for almost a year. All the points made here this morning at the 11th hour were addressed. They were handled through good faith negotiations by all those parties. Everything was discussed. Everything was talked about. Everything was hammered out through a lot of cooperation, a lot of listening.
Is the gentleman answering the question?
In a roundabout way, in a very long-winded way, Mr. Speaker.
You'll have time to respond more totally in a moment.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the gentleman, and I'm glad to know that the Virginia Education Association is also in support of this bill.
Gentleman from Stanton, Mr. Bell.
Yes, speaking to the bill.
Gentleman has the floor.
To the amendment, I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, I would ask you to reject all amendments. At this stage, there is no place for us to start amending a bill that's been hammered out through well-intended and good faith negotiations by everybody who has an interest. The one evaluation piece of this bill comes after a teacher's been granted continuing contract status. That's why we have the 3 to 5 year probationary status. In the real world, one bad evaluation can be costly to you. There's no reason for us to make that any different when someone's had a 3 to 5 year probationary period to get their feet on the ground, to accustom themselves to what it takes to be effective in the classroom or in the school division. I would ask that you reject the amendments.
The questions on adoption of the floor amendments offered by the gentlewoman from Hampton, Ms. Ford. As many as favor adoption of those floor amendments will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. The amendments are rejected. Shall the bill pass? I've already said shall the bill pass. Got to be fast. Got to be quicker. Beg pardon? Yeah, that's what I said. Shall the bill pass?
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Charlottesville, Mr. Toscano.
Yes. Parliamentary inquiry.
Gentleman, state it.
Mr. Speaker, I think there's some confusion about whether this is final passage or a vote on the amendment. So
this is final passage. We took a vote on amendments. You asked for ayes and nays after I had called for the shall the bill pass. We can vote over again if you like. Still have the vote open. Yeah. Let's vote over again. Shall the bill pass? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 75, noes 25.
Ayes 75, noes 25. The bill is passed.